Riot Platforms, Marathon Digital Holdings, and really the entire Bitcoin mining sector has been experiencing quite the Santa rally this holiday season, especially Mara. So, in this video, I want to reflect upon some of the recent parabolic price action that we've been seeing, talk to you guys about what I think we could be seeing in the final week of 2023, and of course, we've got to discuss what could go down in 2024, considering we have the Bitcoin halving coming up in April. We have some very exciting times ahead of us, team. My name is Royce Jacob. I got my ugly Christmas sweater on, and welcome back to Waves Capital. So first things first, you guys, if you do go on to gain value from this video, please give it a like. It would mean a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you want to join the party for 2024. And of course, let me know in the comments down below. Are you bullish on Bitcoin miners in the year ahead or as we head into the new year? Are you holding Bitcoin miners? Do you have some extra Christmas money this year from all those Mara gains? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you want to know how I'm personally trading Riot Platforms and Marathon Digital in my personal portfolio, options of course, that's going to be the first link in the description of this video. And if you want to learn how to trade options, I do still have the New Year's special running on my new options course. $19 now. January 2nd, it's going up to $29. So if you're interested in that, now's probably the time to capitalize. That aside, appreciate if you guys join the team. If not, I'm excited to go through this video with you and talk some price action. So the way we're going to do this is quickly, very quickly, take a look at both Riot and Mara. As far as their websites are concerned, just go over a very general overview. And I actually want to give, as we move into Marathon, a bit of personal speculative, my personal speculative thesis on Mara. That'll make a little more sense as we dive into Marathon. But let's kick it off with Riot. Take a look at Riot on the charts. You know what? Actually, no, we'll take a look at Bitcoin on the charts. I do have a longer and shorter term chart of Bitcoin. So we're going to take a look at two different Bitcoin charts right now. And then we'll move into Riot, quick overview, Mara, quick overview, and then go over their respective charts. Okay, there we go. That's the breakdown. Let's talk BTC. So the king, from a long-term perspective, you can see we have weekly candles up right here. The king is very quickly approaching. We're actually only 7.5% away from the initial macro target that I have in place, which is Bitcoin's line of broken support. Okay, you can see here, this is dating all the way back to the rally we saw in March of 2021. And since then, Bitcoin, has been through a roller coaster price action. It's very evident on the chart here. But Bitcoin was for a very long time, from March of 2021 to where it officially broke in May of 2022, in a pretty clean macro ascending channel. Okay. Once that was broken, we have not yet retested the line of broken support as new resistance. I've seen this, I would say 80% of the time, you successfully see a line of broken support tested as new resistance, unless the asset itself goes to zero. So I expect that to definitely come into play here. Once again, that's about 7% away from current levels. If we are able, which I believe is extremely likely given, once again, the Bitcoin having, just about 5 months away, I do think that we will reclaim this ascending channel. And if you guys watched that, my recent Bitcoin video, it was a couple of weeks ago already, but if you guys saw that, then you would know that I do think that there's a possibility that we do rally into the halving in April. That's this line right here. You can see here, this is April. I believe April 15th is the scheduled halving date. That would perfectly coincide with my conservative line of long-term resistance at six figures, six digits, $100,000. So this is very optimistic, but there are a lot of things that are a lot of macro fundamental reasons to be feeling optimistic right now. So if we can break above $47,000, if we can reclaim this long-term macro ascending channel, that's good news for Bitcoin. I will say, before we go into the shorter term, the weekly RSI and stochastic RSI isn't necessarily looking the best. So I will just say that. Proceed with caution, you guys, and that's going to be kind of a common underlying theme throughout this video, okay? Exciting times, but as far as the short term is concerned, so I'm talking the next week or two, just proceed with caution, okay? The markets are definitely hot right now. There's a lot of hot heads in this market. So let's move on to Bitcoin in the short term, and then we'll move on to Riot and Mara, okay? Let's go to 4-hour candles. All right, so zooming out, Bitcoin is in a pretty clear shorter term ascending channel, kicking off in late October. Okay, here it's kind of megaphony. You can see megaphone for the reason that it's kind of widening out as time progresses. So we are currently in this nice little ascending megaphone channel pattern. As of December 19th, we have broken out of the symmetrical pattern, symmetrical triangle pattern. Talked about this a lot in the newsletter as we were covering Bitcoin. Symmetrical triangle pattern, just a little TA 101 right here, you guys, typically resolves in the direction of the macro trend. So because Bitcoin is in a very clear macro uptrend, the likelihood of this symmetrical triangle pattern breaking out to the upside was much higher than it breaking down. So that was successful. From here, I do think it's possible that we do test the top line of resistance, conservative top line of resistance, that is, on this megaphone channel, which would take us up about 10% prior to the end of the year if we do get another wave to the upside in the short term. And best case scenario by New Year's, as we zoom out here, let's actually go to daily candles real quick. Best case scenario, Bitcoin is in a nice, I would say medium term ascending channel right here. And I would say best case scenario by the new year would be a test of conservative resistance on, and I say conservative resistance because I like multiple touch points on the lines of resistance or support that I draw. You can see here, these are all candle wicks. So that might come into play, but I feel safer as far as trading is concerned, trading upon these conservative lines of resistance. If we test this line of conservative resistance, again, this blue cyan line, by the new year, that would lead to a $51,000 Bitcoin. Okay, so that's very exciting. Keep in mind, you guys, we could always pull back. I'll talk about the negative scenario here. In the case that we do pull back, we do have this line of support, and actually, I guess you could create a line of support right here as well that Bitcoin is likely to follow. So I'll just draw that. If we do see a shorter term pullback, I think it's possible that we do see, in the case of a pullback, we get like a 420% correction. Not 420, obviously. 4.20% correction. Okay? So that's possible. Again, you guys, we've been ripping. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some short-term downside prior to more upside in 2024. And that'll definitely make sense as we move into not necessarily Riot, but definitely as we close it out with Mara on the charts. Okay? So just a little heads up there. Let's move on to Riot Platforms, building the world's leading Bitcoin-driven infrastructure platform. And I said it kind of weird, like, again, my personal speculative opinion on these two. I pretty much just want to talk about something that I really don't like on Marathon's homepage, okay? And again, we'll get to that as we get into Mara or finish Riot. So just stay tuned for that. I just want to give you guys another little heads up there. Okay, Riot overview, building the world's leading Bitcoin-driven infrastructure platform. Latest news, you guys. I don't know if it's entirely necessary that we go over this. You guys can go read as much as you want on Riot's website for this for yourself. But a lot of you would know this if you've been keeping up with the channel or if you've been part of Waves Capital for a while. I prefer Riot over any other Bitcoin mining company, even after this Mara rally. I mean, actually, even now, I prefer Riot for sure as an investment. If you were to buy one of these two now, I would 100% say that I would buy Riot personally. It's always your opinion what you do. But personally, I followed Riot for a long time. I like their team. I think they're a solid company. And I cannot say the same for Mara. And again, I'll get to that in a little bit. So Riot, cool company. Let's take a look at Riot on the charts. Definitely not looking quite as overbought as Mara. And again, I'm doing a lot of comparison. But you guys, we've been following these plays since 2020. On the channel, I have been trading Riot and Mara since 2017. So I've followed these. You just keep in mind, I'm not pretending to be like a genius. I'm not going to claim to be a fortune teller when it comes to these two. I'm just saying that I've watched these for many years, and there's just common themes that come to play over time. Okay, so I just want to make that clear as well. Riot Platforms it really had some trouble at this previous line of support. See, you guys, this is what I'm talking about. This previous line of long-term support is acting as some very, very stubborn resistance. We've tested it once here. That was like a nice little flash bounce to retest that line of broken support. And right here is where we're really facing some trouble. So you can see that even as Mara and some other miners like BTBT, BITF have rallied, Riot's kind of been stuck in the water. And I think there's a lot of Riot has kind of had a rough quarter, if I'm being completely honest. Their last quarter, I will say, was rough. Mara's last quarter was great relative to Riot, at least so they say. So, little hint there as well. But I do think Riot will ultimately break through this. It's just been lagging so heavily relative to Mara. Even if capital starts to outflow from Mara, which again, I think Mara is going to pull back if that hasn't been made obvious by now. Even if capital flows out of Mara, those investors who initially got exposure to Mara will still want exposure, or it's at least likely that they'll still want exposure into Bitcoin miners. And Riot has just been underperforming for years. Riot and Mara have leapfrogged in terms of price. Just not too long ago, they were both the same price. Riot was actually a higher share price than Mara. And right now, Mara has just been blowing the rest of the sector out of the water. So I'm not saying that they're going to both end up at $20, but I do think that there is going to be some mean reversion involved in these two finding not parity, but somewhat close to parity. Okay. So that being said, Riot, in the best case scenario, I don't know what happens in the short term. I will say that it's completely dependent upon what Bitcoins do and what the greater markets do. We might see a pullback in the final week of the year. I actually think a pullback could be more likely than a continuation of the rally. 100% for Mara is what I think, but Riot's maybe a subtle pullback, maybe some sideways price action. And then as we enter 2024, that's when we really start to hit the gas as far as Riot's concerned. Best case scenario for Riot, in my opinion, moving into the halving, is a break back into this previous ascending channel, megaphone pattern, also somewhat of a megaphone ascending channel. And if we're able to test the top line of conservative resistance once again, by April, this is just March, but close enough. By the spring of 2024, as we approach the halving, that would result in a 125% climb from current levels up to a Riot of, around $40, which would be amazing. So that's Riot. Let's quickly take a look at Mara. And I do just want to say, you guys, the one thing that I don't like about Mara, I don't want to go in too hard on Mara. This is complete speculation, so I'll say that right up front. Beautiful website. I like the aesthetic of this site a lot. But I really, really, really don't like how they so heavily advertise their share price right in your face on the homepage of their website. That seems shady to me. That seems like shady practice. That's like what Nikola did. Like what Trevor Milton, the founder of Nikola Motors, if you guys remember that, he just went to prison for kind of not doing the same thing. I'm not accusing Mara of straight up fraud, which that was, but he always talked about the share price and the relevance of the share price and really trying to advertise the stock to investors, to hungry investors, which is, I mean, if you gotta agree, if you've been around for a while, I don't want to assume you agree, but in my mind, it makes sense that the same investors who like Nikola are probably pretty attracted to Mara in the same price scenario, okay? Something's going parabolic, you get FOMO, the emotion hits. We play emotion a lot over here at Waves Capital. That's probably the primary driver of most of the gains I've made over the course of my career, is understanding market emotion and capitalizing upon that market emotion. So this is very similar scenario. I just don't like, again, I don't want to accuse directly, I don't want to accuse Marathon directly of fraud, but there, as we dive into Mara too, this is sketchy. Like it says they have 30 employees. They have no like census on their employees. Where is their employees? I might have skipped it. Is there employees here? Maybe their employees behind my fat head. Is it down here? Yeah, right here. It says 30 employees. I don't know why they haven't updated that. That's kind of shady to me. Again, this is shady to me. I don't like at all how their share prices right here, how they have like their like the statistics of their stock performance at the top of their homepage. That's just weird. They have the NASDAQ right there. They're obviously trying to advertise the stock, which I don't blame them for, but it's just shady. It feels, in my mind, that seems pretty like blatantly shady. So again, maybe some of you are going to be mad at me. Maybe some of you don't want to watch me anymore because I'm ripping on Mara, but honestly, that's fine with me. I am just letting you know how I feel. Again, this is complete speculation, but I wanted to just get those thoughts out there because it's Mara. It just gives me a bad feeling in my stomach. Okay, so gonna trust the gut on this one. Also, it's making it so easy for me on the chart to want to short this company right now. Mara, Absolutely ripped today. Let's see. Before I talk about my correction target, let's talk about how high Mara has ripped. So we'll just go since November. Since the beginning of November, November 7th, to the high that we just saw today as we head into the 3-day Christmas weekend, Mara has appreciated by 230%. It has gone from a share price of $8.50 all the way up to $27.50. So that's about as, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to read this. So I'll give you guys my Mara put position right now. This is, I'm sure all of you who are already part of Waves Capital Complete Portfolio newsletter won't mind this, because I've really accumulated a decent, this is actually a very small position because it's so risky, but if I'm correct about this, the payout will be meaningful. I'm sure you guys won't mind if you're part of Waves Capital, but there is my put options position. It is a $22 put with a 12/19 expiration, 12/29 expiration, which will be, the Friday right before New Year's 2024. So I'll explain why Mara is looking so incredibly oversold as we dive into the charts, but I just want to read over this real quick. So I think that anyone with eyes can agree that Marathon Digital is looking overextended on the charts. It's almost too obvious that it's going to pull back, which is honestly my only worry in regard to increasing my put position this morning. So once again, I bought more puts on today's rally up because I'm buying puts. The puts are going down in price. Mara is a shooting star, and it's near impossible to catch a shooting star. This is the inverse theory of catching a falling knife and or catching the bottom. So I'm sure you guys have heard the term. It's very popular in the investing world, called catching a falling knife. It's when a stock is just going to the ground, and when there's parabolic price action going either way. I guess parabolic only refers to up, but whether a stock is going parabolic or whether it's face planting into the dust, it's tough to call when that will end. Okay, it's very tough to call when that'll end. Again, I don't want to say that Mara is guaranteed to pull back, although we're looking incredibly overbought using every single technical analytic. But things can keep ripping, you guys. When emotion hits, when that second wave hits, as we've discussed here a lot on the channel, things can get crazy and things aren't rational, okay? Although all of the technical data points to a correction, when there's so much emotion involved in a stock, especially a smaller cap stock like Mara with a $6 billion market cap, which they also advertise on their homepage. I don't like that either, as I made clear. But it's just important to be cautious of when trying to short a stock and when trying to buy, or definitely buying into a rally like this, okay? So again, it's always possible that we continue to rally, but my money is on a short-term pullback. And I think the Mara will crush it in 2024 alongside BTC. So again, I'm not saying that Mara can't succeed in 2024. It's very likely that it succeeds in 2024, but the short-term parabolic price action is simply unsustainable, okay? And you guys, just a heads up, this was part of this morning's newsletter that I sent out. This is the trade alert, comes every morning, comes every trading day at least, with the complete portfolio. Last plug here, $15 a month. First link in the description. Join the team, join the winning team if you'd like, and if not, again, no worries. So, Mara, again, this rally is just simply unsustainable. This volume is freaking amazing. This stock is a force to be reckoned with. That is no discussion there. But again, the higher you climb, the harder you fall, and a lot of times you fall a lot faster than you can climb. Physics work in the market similar to the way they work in the real world. Okay, so Mara, my price target for Mara is very, very simple. This line, you can see here, Mara was in a massive slightly ascending channel, maybe a trading range, you could say, for a very, very long time. This line of long-term resistance that was in place since August of 2022, touch point creating that line of resistance, was broken. That's when the traders really hopped in, the technical analysts really hopped in, started picking up the stock. You can see the volume spike right there when we broke that line of resistance. So ripping just the same way we're talking about previous support being tested as new resistance. Previous resistance will be tested as new supports. I think, obviously, once again, my money's on it, that in the week ahead, Mara will correct 25% down to, maybe say $20, 20 to $21. $21, I'm very confident we'll see, at least by the first week of January. Maybe I'm wrong about it happening next week, but I think this is going to happen at some point. 1D RSI is at levels not seen, as if we can go to historic data. 1D RSI is where my cursor is hovering, right? there. So you can see here that there have been a few times in history that we've been at a level, if I move my fat head again, sorry, at a level of like, we're pretty much scratching 90, which is rarely ever seen on any stock ever. So that's high. That is signaling extremely overbought levels. You can see the only other time we were here was in August of 2020 in the last like 4 or 5 years. And then before that was way back in 2017 with that. And just looking at these, look what happens, you guys. Just look at this. Do you think, looking at this, that can you rationally say that this is likely to just continue shooting higher? Okay. It doesn't. And again, I don't want to sound condescending just because I've been in this space for so long, but it just seems so incredibly obvious, which, as I said in the newsletter, was like my biggest worry in shorting this. It's just like, it's so overbought. 1D RSI is overbought. Let's go to 4-hour RSI. 4-hour RSI, still an overbought even after a subtle correction. But what really worried me is this 1 week RSI. 1 week RSI is finally testing this line right here. I'm sorry, the 80 level that signals overbought range. It's possible we climb higher. I just don't think it's likely. Okay. So again, I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just more likely than not that we see a short-term correction due to how overbought we've gotten in the short term. Okay. So that's Mara, you guys. Hey, how far does Mara go in 2024? I really don't know. This chart's a little more difficult, and it always has been. Mara's more difficult to read, for me at least, on the charts as opposed to Riot, which is a big reason I also like trading Riot. But right now, Mara is presenting such a good shorting opportunity, at least in my eyes. And once again, you guys, my money's where my mouth is. So again, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Sorry if there was kind of a downer tone to the latter half of this video, but I have to let you guys know how I feel about these things. And again, I could be wrong. This is all speculative, but I'm just letting you guys know what I personally think. So I appreciate you watching. I'm excited to ride waves in 2024 with you. And, hopefully next year is going to be one for the Waves Capital history books. First link, if you want to sign up for any of these guys, join the team. And again, Merry Christmas, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.